Good morning, everyone. It is April 18th, 2023, Tuesday morning. This is Marg with Creative Stamping with Marg. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Alberta, Canada. And this month we are focusing on all the things that are retiring in the Stampin' Up! World because we get a new catalog May the 2nd. And in my mail today, I received my new catalogs. Here I can show you the front cover. That's all I can show you for now until they go live on May the 2nd. And so some of the things we're going to use today are the cardstock is retiring, the DSP is retiring, the stamp set, the dies, the punch, all the things are retiring. So we are using Hues of Happiness paper, which is this DSP, and I've checked the inventory list and it's still in stock. It is not on the sale, but it is still there if you wanted to purchase it. Beautiful paper. I've used it a lot. The Happiness Abounds stamp set and the Blossoming Happiness dies are still available. The dies look like this. Right there. Beautiful dies. And the dies cut out a lot of the blossoms on the paper, which you'll see when I make the card today. And I am using Blushing Bride cardstock, which is also retiring, and it is still available. And on the first card that I'm going to show you, I am using the Label Me Lovely punch, which is a punch we are getting rid of. It is retiring, and it is on the sale list for $18.20, and it is still available, so it is a good one. I will show you what my inspiration was for this card. This is a card that we made in our downline meeting. So my friend Lillian designed this card, and I thought, what a gorgeous card. It opens like this. So it has like a window in it, so I'm calling these window cards. A piece of DSP and a focal point of some sort, and you open and you get to see the other side of your DSP on the inside. Well, sadly, I do not have these dies. This is the Irresistible Blooms dies. It's an online only stamp and die set, and it's been out of stock for quite a while. I think it comes back in April 17th. So I do not own this, but I thought, I think I can find a way to make this work in the theme of using up my DSP. So that's my inspiration card right there. So today we're using, as I said, Blushing Bride card base, and it is 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. I have used my Label Me Lovely punch, and I punched a window out of it. So I pushed the punch in as far as it would go from the top. I centered it side to side and punched the window out. Then I embossed the front of this. It's a retired embossing folder. It's called Subtle, but you could use anything. I just wanted to give it some kind of character on the front. The DSP we are using, as I said, is the Hues of Happiness. It's this piece, but on the reverse, it's this piece. So this piece is 6 inches by 5 1/4. And if I turn it this way, you'll see it. It's scored at 4 inches. It's scored right there. So you have to decide which side of your paper you want to see in your window. And this is how I did it. I wanted to see the pinks in my window there. So that's what it looks like. And then when you open your card, you can see this. And then when you open it to the inside, this is what you'll see is the flowers. And our white piece of cardstock that goes in the inside is 3.5 inches across by 5. And I'm just going to center it in here. And it allows you to see the Blushing Bride and the nice paper behind it. So that's what that's going to look like. Now I'm doing mine a little differently than Lillian's because I thought this is a smaller window. What could I put in that window? Well, the flowers that you cut with the dies from this set are fairly large. So it takes up the whole window. So I thought, oh, that doesn't look so good. So I decided I would do it a little bit differently. So we're going to put our message in the window and the flowers on the outside. So I'll show you what we're going to do with that. Now, the other thought I had about this paper, I always, the DSP packages have listings on the back of all the colors. So the pink colors that they suggested in this package are Flirty Flamingo and Melon Mambo, which is, the Melon Mambo is the darker pink, but the Flirty Flamingo doesn't really go with this one. So I pulled them out of my samples here. There's the Melon Mambo. It looks really good. But the Flirty Flamingo, I didn't really like it as a card base. So I went looking for one of the other pinks, and Blushing Bride, which is retiring, I thought looked really good with this. So that's how I chose my card base for it. So sometimes, more than often, I go with the colors that they suggest, but this time it didn't look as good for me, so I went searching through my stash and decided I would use Blushing Bride. So it is a suggestion, but you don't always have to use it. So from the punched out piece, I just have a sample here. There's the punched out piece that I had, but I wanted it to be smaller. I didn't want my message to be in this window and fill the whole window. So I'll show you a trick with the punch to make the punch smaller. So I did this already, I stamped Wishing You All the Happiness You Can Imagine, which is from our Happiness Abounds stamp set. I stamped it right up at the top. Then what you can do is take Post-it, and because you need a little leverage with this, you sort of have to add yourself a little bit. So what I do with a Post-it note is I stick it on the back like that, and you can insert it into your punch. Actually, I should have done it this way, I guess. I have to think about how I'm doing this. I want it to be cut this way, so I will do it this way. You do it from the side, so you can add just an extra extension on it. And you put your cardstock back in, line it up, and then you can punch it, and it makes it just that little bit smaller so that you have a smaller greeting because you didn't want that whole thing. Just going to adjust it a little bit. And then I punch it like that, and there. I cut off an extra piece, and I have just the size that I want to fit in my window. And it still has the shape and everything. We maintained the shape of it. So that's just a little trick to make your punches much more useful. It doesn't have to be the full size. You can cut it down a little bit. So that's just a little trick. So I've already done that with my pink one. There it is there. So I'm going to put it onto my DSP like that. And I think I will just glue it right on there. I don't think I'm going to do anything else with it. I did stamp with Melon Mambo for the greeting. And so I think what we'll do, we'll start to assemble our card. So I'm just going to take my silicone mat so I don't make a mess of my grid paper here. I'll do this, and I think the easiest way to do this, we'll start by gluing this DSP into our card. So where we want it, we just want it centered in here like that, and just that flap is going to be glued to the back. So I'm going to put glue on the back of this, and I am going to use my liquid Tombow glue for this. And just put it on like that. And I'm going to leave it closed the best I can, and right up to the fold of the cardstock, and center it top to bottom like that. And all that's sticking down is just this flap, right? Okay, so that's done. I am going to put my inside in. And again, it's just going to be centered in here as best I can. I seem to have a lot of hair on I really don't have long hair. I have short hair, so it's funny that my hair is on my table today. Maybe it's not my hair, maybe it's someone else's. Oh dear. Anyways, I will glue this in. And I'm just centering it. I am not stamping a greeting on this. You can. And there is some nice greetings on this, I actually thought, because I used wishing you all the happiness you can imagine, I thought it could be a birthday. It could be a congratulations. So I was kind of leaving it open-ended. So I'm leaving it blank like this. And we are going to do something else to the inside after. I think now I will put on my greeting, which is right here. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to close the card up, just put the glue on the back of my greeting. You could raise it onto dimensionals if you wanted. I'm just going to glue it right down. So you put the glue on, close your card up, and decide where you want it. So it should fit right inside your window. Just need to wiggle it over a little bit. Like that. I want it to be straight, hopefully. That looks good. So there's our greeting. And the card will open like this. You'll see that. And then the inside. All right, so let's embellish the outside. What I thought I'd do with this one, like I said, the flowers were way too large to go into the opening. So I have already die cut. These are all from the paper. I die cut all these flowers out so we'd have lots to work with. I didn't know how I wanted to do the outside, but I thought we could make it really nice. I cut out a bunch of leaves. And we also are going to put something on the inside of our card. So we can just do some flower arranging. And I thought, and these flowers, when you put them on, they can overlap your window as long as they don't cover up your greeting. So I thought, you know, that would look nice. But I thought, well, maybe we want to do 2 of the flowers. Like that. And then we can just add in some other things around it. So, you know, you can just basically do whatever you like. I just thought this looked really pretty. And then I am going to add some leaves to it. So what do we think of that? Like that, and then we can tuck in some leaves as we go along. I think that looks good. So I think what I'll start with is that rose right there. Now, when you go to put these down, you're going to want to make sure that you can overlap your window, but don't go over the edge of your card because it still has to fit in the envelope. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue, and I think I'll just adjust the way this looks. So I've got my fingers on there where I don't want any glue, so I'm going to turn it over, and I'm just going to put glue on this part. You don't want any glue overlapping into your window. So I'm going to do it like that, just like that. And you can always check, open the card up and check there's no glue there. That's good. Then I'm going to put this one here and that one up there, I think. So this one next. And again, you can also do some, I like to sort of give these some kind of dimension, so I often take a pencil or a pen and give them just, break the fibers down a little bit and give them a little bit of dimension so they're not perfectly flat when you go to put them onto your card. Just gives them some interest. So put the glue on the back of this one. And I'm just putting it in the center, and that'll allow me to tuck things underneath it if I want to. And making sure that I don't have any glue. Whoa! Yeah. Gotta make sure I don't get glue everywhere. All right, and then this one maybe. Again, I'm going to give this some dimension by just rolling it a little bit. Just gives the flowers a little more interest if you kind of just do that. This, I think, do I want it on top? I think I do want it on top. So again, I'm just going to put the glue in the middle. And I'm going to turn this one a little bit, making sure, again, that it doesn't go off the edge of my card. And I'm still sticking it down there. And these flowers, because of the paper they're on, they come from a paper very similar to this. So look at the colors on the inside. It sort of matches. All right. Now I'm thinking I was going to put these two little ones on the bottom. Tuck this one underneath. And this one maybe. I know this got glued down a little bit here, didn't it? I can pick it up. Maybe glue that there. I don't know if I like that, but let's see. Maybe put that one there. And then I'm going to tuck in some of these leaves. So I think we'll just go ahead with this. So just a little glue on the back of it and tuck it underneath. And again, I should have given that a bit of a roll. I'll do that with this one. Just gives it a little more interest. And it's interesting because they will stay a little bumped up like that. So, okay, little glue on this one. Tuck it under here. Just like that. That looks good. All right. Then these leaves. Again, it's something that you can just roll the leaves a little bit on your pencil and gives them, and I think I'll just tuck some greenery in here. So again, I'm just putting a little bit of glue on the back of all these pieces and tucking them in where I think I'd like them to be. And again, you have to make sure that they don't stick over your card. So that's good. Just play around with it a little bit. Kind of like this one at the top. Maybe this darker one is even nicer. These things are all cut out of the paper with the die cuts. So it's really, really nice to have the dies and the paper together. Love how Stampin' Up! Does that, and they give us that option of cutting things out of the paper with our dies. These also could be fussy cut if you don't have the dies. The paper is gorgeous. Okay. And I think we need another greenery maybe down here. Yep. All right. So we're pretty much done on our front. I do have some gems to put on the front, but I want to show you what I'm going to do to the inside of this card. All right, so there we go. I think that looks really pretty. So the card would be like this, wishing you all the happiness you can imagine. And then you open it. There it is there. And then you open it to this. So it's a bit of a different take on the one that Lillian did with the flower in the window. All right, so let's get rid of these pieces. I did, on the DSP, I never throw any edge pieces out. So this rose was on the very edge of the paper, so it's cut off. But I thought, I'm going to save it, and it can be used inside the card like that, and I can even put a leaf behind it. And that'll just be something to put in the inside of my card. I will lay them, I'm not doing any bending of them in any way. I will glue them down flat. Okay. So I'm putting that one there. And so I like being able to use pieces that are on the edge of your DSP, but you hate to throw them out. Well, this is a really good way to use them. And it just gives the inside of our card a little continuity with the outside. So I really like the way that looked. All right, so there's the front. I did bring out some gems here. Now these will all be retiring because these are the in colors, but I thought these polished pink gems looked really good. Now this is a very pale one, and these ones are much brighter. Kind of like these bright ones. I think I'm going to use these. These are the 2021-2023 in colors. which these are also, but these ones definitely will be retiring. So I will pick one large one and maybe put it up here like that, and a small one maybe here, and another small one. I usually go in threes with my gems. You can go, they usually say odd numbers. There. All right. So those pinks look good on there. Even though that's polished pink, I still think it looks really good. So there's our card done. And I've been forgetting about doing envelopes. I always did my envelopes, and I often do them after I've finished the video, and I think, well, why didn't I show you that? So I've got a piece of the paper, but this is what's left on this part. So it's not the same colors that were on here, but it is the same paper. It just was the hues they go in sort of gradients, but it is the inside paper. So I thought I will go ahead and use this piece on the flap of my envelope. And I want more of the pink showing than the darker pink, so I thought that's what I'll do. So what I do with this is I just put my liquid glue on the flap of the envelope like this. And this piece that I'm using for the envelope flap, the piece of DSP is 2.5 by 6. So I just lay it carefully on the flap like that. And then I take my scissors and I just trim it off. And then your envelope is ready to go with your card, and it's got a little bit of pizzazz to it instead of just a plain white envelope. You can also stamp. I didn't do any stamping of the flowers here. I could have also stamped on the front of the envelope. There's the flap. So it looks like that. I could have also stamped one of the roses on the front of the envelope if I wanted to, so let's do that. So here's the stamp set. There's all these different roses. I kind of think I like maybe this smaller one. Let's see. That's a good choice for the corner of the envelope. I think that's a really good choice. So let's go ahead and do that. I will get a block for it. Pick it up with a block. There we go. And I should have my stamp and pierce mat. I need a little cushioning to do this because it is a photopolymer stamp. And I have my Mill and Mambo ink here that I stamp my greeting with. So I'm going to use it, and I think I'll put it on this corner for a change. And you can have it sort of going off, so I always think that looks a little more interesting when it's sort of going off the paper. So there's the rose right there. All right, so there's our card and that matching envelope. Put that there. This ink out of the way before I stick my hand into it. Okay, so there's our card for today. I will put my inspiration card here. That was Lillian's. There. Put this out of the way. And I will show you my other card that I made. This one, the window is cut with the layering circle dies, which are retiring. I used one size to cut the opening, and then when that piece came out, I made it a little bit smaller by using one of the smaller dies to cut it out. So that's how I did this, because I thought this was interesting to see the DSP behind that. So this one was done with the Artfully Layered Bundle, which is retiring. And it has some beautiful leaves in it. Some nice sayings. Happiest birthday wishes is what I chose to put on this card. And I used these little leaves stamped off. This, by the way, is Bermuda Bay, which is retiring. And I stamped off with that stamp once, and then I stamped just to give the front a little interest. So it opens like this. So let me move some more things around. I am using the paper that went with that stamp set called Artfully Composed. It has retired. And so there's the paper there. And the inside is Calypso Coral. And then I used one of the die cuts on the inside of the card. So that one, the easiest way to do all this, putting all these pieces down, because they're kind of difficult, these die cuts, I used my adhesive sheets, which come like this, 6 by 12 inches, I think they are. And I put put adhesive sheets on the back of all these die cuts, because these ones are really tiny to put on, as is this one, would be really difficult to glue down. And knowing me, I have glue everywhere, so that's the easiest way to put them down. But that card I thought turned out really nice. And I embellished it with, the gems are called, they're right here. These are iridescent pastel gems from the Fancy Flora Suite. And I chose the Calypso Coral ones to put on this card, because I thought that brought out the Calypso Coral in the background of the paper. So this is a really easy way to use up, again, another piece, 6 by 6 paper of DSP, and a really effective card. I like the way they all look. They all turned out great. And, you know, look through your stash for things that you might have that will work. Like I said, I didn't have the Irresistible Bloom set, so I knew I couldn't recreate that card exactly the same as Lillian did, but I thought, I bet I've got something else. So if you have punches or dies, you can make these things work for you usually. And I changed this one up to have all the flowers on the outside, the greeting on the center. All right, I hope you enjoyed that. Give me a thumbs up if you did. I sure appreciate that. And you can subscribe to my channel. I have been posting videos every Tuesday. And like I said, this month we are focusing on the retiring product. So there'll be one more week for me to do that. Hope everybody's having a great day. See you again soon.